Welcome to Creative Courage Chats, a search for a new understanding of creativity and problem solving. I'm Alex Raffi.
So anyway, welcome back to Creative Courage Chats. This is the second part of our first conversation with Melissa Martin here, and we're talking about problem solving and going forward, and it's not going to make any sense unless you watch the first one. So you should go watch the first one. So anyway, in continuation of this thing, we're talking about coming up with solutions to the methods required, I think, especially in a free society, a society of people who have this idea of freedom, that they have, yes. they live in a free society and they're able to do what they want, when they want, how they want, and that their belief is that everybody has the same opportunity, equal opportunity to accomplish the same thing. There's this perception of that, which is obviously arguable. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways. And, you know, we could delve into that, but I don't think that it's needed. I mean, it's already been done.
It's out there, yeah.
but I think that it's relevant because there is so much right now because people are so positive they're right. And I have this feeling, I put myself out there, try to put myself out there at times to be a contrarian of myself, you know, where I will put myself in an awkward situation just to test my value system to see if I'm right. And I found that no, I am not. I've been in situations with African-American people where I feel like I'm a open-minded, non-racist person. And I'll start to speak to them as if I know what I'm talking about in terms of the relationship they have with this country and their history. And I have no idea and actually no right to even have an opinion about it. I mean, I guess I have a right to have an opinion about it, but not really a right to not listen to their version of what I'm saying. And the response I get is eye rolls sometimes. It's like, oh, here we go. Here's another privileged white person who thinks they know what's going on. And then they strip it down to me, and I'm disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
In almost
every thing is a humility type of. You grow your humility as you learn.
Right, and it's like I'm Latino technically, but I can say. And Deb throws out the joke that every once in a while I get pulled out at the airport to get it, you know, whatever. But I have not lived with any kind of discrimination. When I get pulled over by a police officer, it's an inconvenience. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
You don't fear for your life.
No, it's an inconvenience. So I don't want to, we can I'll have a lot of opportunities. I have some things lined up and that's going to be the main topic. But I do think that this is relevant in terms of the approach that people need to maybe have right now is to have the courage to make yourself vulnerable, right?
Yes. That's part of authenticity. Mm-hmm. is vulnerability. And there's definite power in that, ironically, but it's true.
So you, as a person who is educated and understands the science, even and the biology of some of the things that are damaging our environment, you know, you're well versed. I know you've studied a lot of this, and then people are coming to you arguing against you with total ignorance of what is happening, and I imagine that's frustrating. And you even see it. It's a good example is watching scientists talk to flat earthers. Oh, it's one of my favorite things on the internet. Is to watch a flat earther talk about the flat earth to an actual scientist. And seeing the interchange is fascinating.
It is.
Because it's like I would love to have you talk to a flat earther. Just use your approach.
Because my goodness.
Actually, show empathy for people who believe the earth is flat, like it's a legitimate thing. If you want to try to convince them, right? So this is where I can.
You know what? What's that last part?
Well, this is where I have difficulties with. Sometimes is like you can't take some people seriously on their views sometimes,
Yeah.
but you have to.
And I think that applying the approach of civility would have you start off with the grueling stage of listening and asking questions and genuinely want to learn their perspective.
Right.
Um,
Wow, that is hard.
it is because you already want to get to the conclusion. We're impatient people. You're wrong. I'm right. Let's go.
Right.
and and what's helpful when you're learning their perspective, when you're listening to them, one, that's you're establishing a bridge by showing them respect, showing them that they're worth your time. They have, they're worth the dignity that you're providing by listening effectively, the whole 9 yards. So that rapport will help them later listen to what you say or try to keep an open mind when you ask these questions. So it's a necessary, vital step that we often jump over because it takes too long, because we already know the conclusion in our own mind. But to force ourselves to listen and ask questions, genuinely wanting to learn, not asking facetious questions or making fun of them in your question, but really, why do you think this? Why, where did you get? Not again, not saying where are your resources, cite your references. That's kind of a threatening approach to things. And that's why it's better in person. It's better not on social media.
I favor, I mean, it's in the book title, the word courage. I often think most issues are issues because somewhere in there is a lot of fear of something.
Yes.
Is fear of making yourself vulnerable by listening, fear of not knowing what the result of the thing is, fear of having to change my lifestyle for someone I don't know. Fear,
Right.
it's always fear. Even racism comes from deep fear. Even hatred comes from fear. I mean, everything comes from fear. And I think that sometimes it's interesting to me that fear has a good marketing team because somehow people have turned fear into courage. Suddenly, the more guns I have makes me seem more brave.
Yeah.
Even though I've only got two hands, I've got 20 guns. So
Right.
there's this weird thing where people feel tough when what are you being tough towards? What are you afraid of? And then they tell you, but there's no evidence of what there is to be afraid of. It's almost like, one of the things in creative courage that I talk about is this, you have this part inside of you, your gut. Your gut is a powerful thing. It really makes you make a lot of your choices. And it's a primal thing. It's something prehistoric. It's the reptilian part of our brains, right? It says, don't go in that cave because there's a bear in that cave and it's going to kill you. So don't go in the cave, right? But the same thing that makes you not go in the cave makes you not try an idea. An idea is not going to maul you to death. A new way of approaching something isn't going to maul you to death. But the same inner urges says, careful, it's the same, it says that powerful. People act the same way. And I think you're following your gut is the worst thing you can do creatively. Your gut, everybody tells you the opposite. I think your gut, all it does is protect you. All the gut does is gives you choices that are safe. And if you follow your gut, you're not following the better solution. It's a weird way of, that's just my opinion. And I know a lot of people disagree with it. But I often tell artists, don't always follow your gut. It's just going to lead you to something safe. Your gut, unless your core is an adventurous core, and then you're always going to challenge yourself. But I think the standard person is always going to try to head towards a thing that's more safe. It's kind of, and maybe gut isn't the right way to call it, or whatever. The idea is maybe not well thought out there, but it is in my opinion, a big part of what it is. The fear is the biggest part of it. I don't know. What do you
I
think of that?
think it has direct application these days, especially when you're talking about creative problem solving. You can't be creative if you're afraid of being seen as the other, or being accused as someone who would ever be open to listening to the other side. There's a definite, basic human need to not to not be ostracized from your social group, um, or the people that matter to you most, at least. And so if you are, within that mindset and you enjoy being part of this group, I'm not really talking online so much, but the social group that actually matters to you, that you identify with, um, if that group thinks a certain way, and you want to be with that group, and the tribalism lines and walls are in place, there's creativity will get you in trouble because of that fear of being ostracized from whatever group. And so there's a definite block, there's a definite obstacle there when it comes to problem solving, because you're not going to have anyone there helpful unless they are willing to say goodbye to everyone they care about.
Right, and tribalism is going to happen. I mean, it's
Yeah.
unavoidable. You're going to always become groups of people, and that's not a bad thing. But I mean, it's how are
Right.
you an individual within the tribe? How are you then somebody? It's like the punk
And how
rockers. It's punk rockers used to say, "Oh, I'm going to dress like this to shock everybody because I want to be different," and then they'd all hang out with each other.
everyone's, yes.
So it was a bunch of guys mohawks on the corner. "Oh, you guys are
Exactly.
individuals." But
And
it's
it's how that tribe approaches the issue of creativity.
right.
Some tribes nurture it. Some tribes, want that to happen and are not afraid of their own identity by changing, by adapting to new circumstances or new facts or things like that. But it's the tribes that are very, very hard thinking, very small minded perhaps, that turn into cults, that anything outside of what we tell you is true is of the devil, or
Right.
is going to get you in trouble. So
Yeah. Or it's funny because when I write, I don't know if you've seen them. I write these long, it's usually on Saturday mornings when I wake up. I write these long, just manifestos sometimes, and
that's Sunday mornings for me, as you've seen.
so I write them, and I'm very thoughtful, and I try my best to try to say things and try to not be inflammatory. I try
Yeah, yeah,
really hard.
we all try.
We all try, and inevitably, one line in it it just ends it for some people. Like one not even misworded, but one interpretation of one sentence
Right.
becomes the core of the entire argument against it. And if that's the method of reaching an understanding, there has to be some forgiving on this thing, because you'll never
Yeah.
get anywhere. We never get anywhere. It's exhausting, and it's almost not worth it. Sometimes feels like it. It's just not worth it sometimes. But you keep doing it because I don't know what else to do.
Well, that
Yeah.
and someone might be watching. It's, social media is not just, it's a spectator sport,
This is true.
and so I know a lot of people that have come to me and just on, personal message saying thank you for what you said or how you said it, or whatever, in a heated conversation. And when I was in my campaign, it had that a lot. And it was almost like a duty or a public service to demonstrate how it's possible to talk to someone who hates your existence and try to build a bridge with that person. And
That's that's a strong statement.
it's thrilling. There was one guy, and I think it was actually after the campaign, but one gentleman who was very hostile to a party and would love to be on the side that, when the shooting starts type of people.
Oh yeah.
And after a conversation with him, we went shooting together, and it was and he listened to me, I listened to him. We're on good terms. I didn't change his mind about, this over here, but I broke down a barrier here. And he had, it's those things are important. Those things are important to do, and it takes effort, and it takes vulnerability, it takes bravery,
It
and
takes a lot of strength. It takes a
trust.
ton of strength because you're
Yeah.
seeing beyond the argument.
Yeah, you're a human, I'm a human too.
Right.
Let's focus on that.
Yeah. My best example is current. Actually, Harry Ray, my
uh,
good friend Harry Ray.
uh-huh.
He passed away last year from cancer.
I'm
And a
sorry.
year prior, and I said I must have told the story on this. Sorry everybody if I said it again and you already saw it. But he got extremely upset at me because of something I said about his college team. And I was being flippant. I don't even know anything about football. I was being flippant, and there was something that really pissed him off, and he got very angry because for a lot of reasons. But he was irrationally angry at me, and he was attacking me verbally, and I was
Yeah.
getting very angry right back at him, and I was ready to fight. I was ready to go, and then
Mhm.
something said to me, and I don't know what it was. Something said to me, "Wait a minute, Harry's a lovely guy. He's a good man. He's really
Mhm.
mad at you. Maybe you should shut up. Maybe you said something that was wrong. Maybe you're the jerk." And so I
Mhm.
listened and I took my beatings, and they were bad. I mean, he went at me hard. And then I
Yeah.
listened and I said, "I'm sorry." And then the next day I called him and I said, "Listen, you're really angrier than yesterday. Let me tell you what you said to me to make sure I got it right. This is why you were mad." And I listed all the things that I thought he said. I got some of them wrong. He
Mhm.
corrected me. And the core of it was I was not being a good friend to him. His value of me as a friend had expectations. And he got
Right.
tired of giving me a pass. And I
Yeah.
did something that was not what a friend should do. And that's acceptable, and that's something that I should try to be better. We became better friends because of the argument and because I didn't fight back. If I fought
Mhm.
back, we wouldn't have been friends anymore. And
Right.
the
Right. Right.
reward that I got was that I was able to be with him when he passed. And
Oh
it was
yeah.
just he and I together there, and he
Mhm.
passed. And I'll never forget it. And it taught
Yeah.
me that sometimes you need to shut up, and sometimes you need to just swallow your pride, and sometimes you need to just listen and take your
Right.
beatings and accept it. I wasn't as bad as he was saying I was, but there was something connected to the hatred and anger he was throwing at me, right?
Mhm.
He wasn't
Yeah.
right about what he was yelling at me about, but I took it
Yeah.
anyway because I knew there was
Yeah.
something behind it that was important. I didn't
Absolutely.
know. I can't give myself that much credit. I was hoping,
Right. Right. Right.
and
Right.
I took a chance with that, right? And
Yeah.
so that taught me a lot. And I'm not being preachy, and I'm not saying I'm better because I did this. I'm just saying that I took a chance, and I tried to
That's a
follow my own rules in my own book, and I tried
that's
to.
a very important story. I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you.
no, no. But that don't you? I think that's what you're talking about. I
Yeah.
think I think
Exactly. Yeah.
that's what you're talking about is being like this with the other side. Is
Mhm.
stay beyond the thing that's pissing you off and look behind it. And I think you'll find fear. You'll find
Mhm.
that there's something there. And are you going to hate somebody for being afraid? I mean, I guess you could.
Very human.
You
Yeah.
could.
We're
But
all afraid.
but that's also not right either. Now that I kind of, I'll take that. I'm not going to delete it, but that last statement I made, I'd take it back because sometimes hate is just hate. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a spectrum,
Yeah.
but I think you're absolutely right. When I came to an epiphany that all conflict is due to when expectations are not met,
Right.
from war to marriage, to everything in between.
That's
When
true.
expectations are met, when you expect this and you get that, the level of
Mhm.
severity, or the level of difference, is the severity of your emotions attached, probably. And if we come at every single problem, at least human conflict, with that in mind, we'll be able to step above the automatic response of him versus me, or she, versus us versus them, and say, we versus this issue, let's figure it out. And that has worked. That's the key to, that's the meaning of life right there.
I think you're right. I think there's something to that, because you're right. You have a good marriage. I know that much. And you're
We
the
didn't
mother of.
always.
Well, no, because that's the thing. I always tell my staff, they're all mostly women.
Mhm.
But when they were younger and they were dating, like they're all married now, but when they were dating, I'd always say, don't marry a dude unless you get in a good, solid fight with them, because that's when you know who people really are, in the way that they fight. If they're
Yes.
mean to you when they fight, like irrationally mean, that's a mean person, and that's the
Yeah,
core of who they are. So that was always my advice. That was just my.
that's excellent advice.
But
Yeah.
because if you got to fight with somebody to really see who they really are, and I think that's kind of what it is in a good marriage. Boy, you're professional fighters, man. You know when to give in. You know when to keep going. You evaluate. You try to
Yeah.
sort it out. And then
Mhm.
you weigh the good and the bad, and the good always has to outweigh the bad, right?
Right.
So if
Right.
there's not enough good, you better start making some good. Because if you want this marriage to last, let's start making some good things. So this has turned into marriage advice.
Yeah. I mean, the joke Chris and I have together is that our marriage is so happy because my expectations of him are so low.
Yes, Chris, you've done it. You're a genius. Yeah, I do this through laundry. I
Very
just
low.
started laundry early on in a relationship, and now I never have to do laundry.
Yeah. Expectation management,
That's right.
key.
That is the key. Anyway, you're awesome. I
You're
love you so
awesome.
much. And we got to get down to Florida and see you guys again, soon. I think that's
I hope
something
so.
we got to plan when we can. I know everything's crazy right now, but the
Yeah.
hope is that this will all, get better, and we'll start being able to get together soon and stuff like that. But thank you for making
I
the
hope
time.
so.
And I thought this was pretty fascinating for me. I thought this was fascinating, and
We
it was.
should do it all the time anyway.
We should just do it. Why not? We don't have to record it, do we? We don't have to.
No.
No, we just talk. We should just talk. But anyway, yeah, this is like exactly what I was hoping for. So thank you so much, because I think I haven't really talked to somebody about problem solving to the level that I did with you, and I have a high amount of respect for you, not just because of your family, just because of you and what you do in general, and everything. People, look her up. She's amazing. And oh, now I got to go check all your media stuff. Make sure you delete all that stuff that you did. All those posts you did, those irrational posts and angry posts and memes you posted.
Yeah.
No, that's Chris.
But off brand. I know.
All right. But anyway, I'll tell you. Thank you again. Is there anything you
Thanks
want?
for this time.
You know what? Say anything you want, right? Is there anything you want to talk about or promote, or any events or anything, or websites or information you would like people to learn about, or anything you want to promote?
I'll just leave with my personal mantra of do what you can with what you have. There's plenty to do out there, and it can be overwhelming with the amount of things that need personal attention and things like that. But I'm hoping everyone gets involved, because this is, life in a functional society is not a spectator sport. We have to have an all hands on deck type of mentality. So that's all I'll say.
That's quite enough. I think that's a pretty fantastic way to end this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right.
So,
Hey, like and subscribe and do all that stuff that everybody tells you to do on YouTube. Please. It helps me out. All right. Thanks. I'll talk to you later.